Alright, Chevra, I feel like learning a shtickle Noam Elimelech. Let's see if we can even open it. I have reception here. Sefer Bamidbar. And then we're up to Parshas Behaalosecha in Chutz La'aretz. Slammer on Haiben, Lamazain. Okay. But Daber Hashem al Moshe Behaalosecha and there is the Lord spoken to Moses when you raise up the lamps on the menorah. V'zeh ma'aseh menorah. This is the work of the menorah, the candelabra. Kamara sheherash, like the vision which the Lord showed Moses. Kain asas a menorah. Thus did he make the menorah. So v'diktiku ha-mefarshim. So the mefarshim explain they're medayik. Means that they look carefully at this. How do we get to this where it says this is the work of the menorah? It appears to be superfluous. Extra words, and we have a general rule throughout the Hebrew scriptures. There's nothing extra, nothing superfluous. Everything is a purpose. Near the Isa b'Gemara, so it seems that it's cited in the Gemara, in the Talmud, the Babylonian Talmud. But David v'Midan, I don't remember, Asora, maybe less, whatever it was. Shaloisha adbo Habakkuk Midan alachas v'tzarak v'nosiyich. So it's a very famous Gemara at the end of Makos that there are 613 mitzvahs. But the various biblical figures throughout history summarized all 613 into smaller categorizations. That these categorizations of smaller numbers summarize all the 613. Until Habakkuk came, prophet, one of the 12 prophets, and he said there's really only one thing that encompasses all of the 613 mitzvot, and that is the righteous lives by his faith. That's the way we learn that's what it means, meaning that faith, emunah, is the one commandment that encompasses all the other 613. Meaning it is one of the 613, but this is the one that encompasses them all. V'yeshloimer al pi de ksavnu kfar shemet tchilat tzarach adam v'nichnas b'dvarosei yisparach shemoi lasas latzmei siyogim gedorim and haggis rabbis kadesh yisnag kashur b'vodosei. So he said, when a Yid wants to learn, he wants to be an Erlich Yid, he has to, or the Jew wants to devote himself to God. He has to do so by making with a lot of rules, a lot of things that you're allowed to do, you're not allowed to do, even maybe beyond the letter of the law, to be a chosid, to be extra pious. And that's the way that he worships God. And after one has already reached these very lofty spiritual heights, b'chol pam shuv ein tzarech oisen hanhagas shahai tzarech kodim boil tachas avoda. But eventually a person gets to a certain point where, of course, he needs to keep the laws, but he doesn't need to keep all the extra stuff that he did, because he's already gotten to the point of all of the worship. Why? Because every step one takes is closer to the total unity of God. For whom is ached gamkein b'maisav and hagoisav, and he also becomes unified with his deeds and his way of conducting himself, his conduct, then he doesn't need to do all the extra stuff. It's good enough, right? Keinu davar hazeh bekan. And we see this in this Gemara, this teaching of the Talmud. Sheba David v'midin al achadaser, that King David came and established that there are 11 categories that summarize all the 613. Ki achadaser amas al olamas was achdim b'vodas tzaddik, because the number 11 represents like a Jungian archetype of the unification of the worlds in the worship of this saintly, righteous person. Ki yadu liyodechein, as the Kabbalists know, the ones who know the hidden wisdom are aware of, is that ikar tachlis Torah ma'asim tovim. That's the main point of the Torah and the good deeds. Lases yichudim ba'olamas ki yadua. We do mitzvahs to make unifications in the higher world, as is known. So Yeshaya hamid al sheva. Isaiah said we only need seven categories. Perish was a min kshadim oila bavoida az hu mevi akol al Hashem oiris al yodim. When a person is going up in his worship, then he goes to these 7 supernal lights, luminaries. Ad shebo Habakkuk v'midin al achas. Until Habakkuk came, it says really only one: faith. Perish b'tachlis avoda shiavoi kulei al achdus agamor. Meaning, because the whole purpose of worshiping God is to bring one to that total unity. V'zeu tachlis hamechaven. That's the purpose. That's the goal that we're looking for. Tziva Hashem lahatzadik v'loisches aneris. It's this that when God commanded to the righteous saint that when you bring up those candles, Paris, what does it mean? Kshetir tzil alois Torah mitzvahs and ikar moiris. You want to lift up the Torah and mitzvahs that are called the lights. These are unified with the higher supernal lights. Shehem Sheva. These are 7. Here Ikar Shiavai Akol Al Achdus Agamar. But the purpose of the 7 is to come to the unity, to total unity, to number 1. Hu El Mul Pnei Menorah. That was means in the front of the face of the menorah. Hakavana. The intention here. Let me just make sure I'm not dropping anything. El Shor, to the root. Hakol, the root of everything. Makor Elyon, the supernal source. But you might say, no, it's just opposite. The lamps are something, they're a receptacle to receive the lights and the sunan behem. They're given to them. Menorah atzmahi davar obvious yosim in the neiros. And the menorah itself is something, it's thicker, it's more materialistic than the light, than the candles. I'm going to make sure I'm bringing everything in. Got my stuff here. How does that which is secondary become primary? The turrets, and this is the answer. Don't be surprised that the menorah itself is a materialistic thing. This is the action, oil Messiah, right? Kamara Shahar Bahar. But it's still, according to the vision that it showed you in the mountain, the same holiness that was at Mount Sinai That's what we have here. Behaalosecha, that's spiritual from the beginning to the end. Im Kain, that's the case. Menorah Asma, he remes al-Achdus a Gomer. Since the menorah represents the total unity, Veneris Hem Neged Sheva Moiris, and the 7 branches are the 7 lamps, or Moiris Elyonim, are with the supernal luminaries. It's better to bring everything to total unity. This is the main thing. This is the root of everything. Is to bring everything to God, who's one. We should understand this.